football now. All right, gentlemen, it is time. NFC Rankings. We do it every Tuesday. NFC Rankings, which, with the Vikings having lost, with the Packers having lost, have there been changes? Would you like to start us off, Daniel Cunningham?
There have been some changes, Judd.
I mean, I'm not surprised. If the Packers had won, the gap between Green Bay and the Vikings certainly would have grown, but they did not. But go ahead.
So first, my top two have stayed the same.
Thank you, Maestro.
New Orleans Saints still number one. I think that they are the best team in the NFC. Their strength of victory is 508, which is really impressive. While San Francisco is undefeated, their strength of victory is only 341. That's the combined winning percentage of the teams that they've played. The Saints, it is much higher, significantly higher. So for that reason, I've got them at number one. Number two, San Francisco, undefeated. Until they lose, I can't put them any lower than two.
Sure.
Green Bay had a really tough week, but I'm not dropping them out of the number three spot. I'm keeping them in number three because they're 7-2. They have the same record as Seattle, but they've done it in a much more impressive way. I just brought up the strength of victory for the Saints. Well, the Packers is even higher. It's at 517. So I'm going to keep them in at number three. Number four is where I have my first change. The Minnesota Vikings are falling out of the fourth spot, and Seattle's jumping them into the number four spot.
Fair enough.
I think Seattle right now is a better team. If the Vikings want to get back up there, do it in Seattle in a couple weeks. You have the opportunity to do so. Make it happen.
League MVP plays for them.
I firmly believe so, yes.
I agree with you. Okay.
Then number five, I have the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
And we talked about last week where that kind of line between good and great is, or maybe good and very good is a better way to put it. And that Seattle was on the other side of that line. Seattle still might not be on the very good side of the line, but the Vikings certainly are now on the same side as Seattle.
All right. Fair enough. I agree with that completely.
After them, I have the Los Angeles Rams coming in at number 6. Carolina Panthers at number 7. The Dallas Cowboys, number 8. Philadelphia Eagles, number 9. And the Detroit Lions are number 10, sitting at 3-4-1.
Okay, so you go Saints, Niners, Packers, Seahawks, and Vikings, your top 5.
Yes.
Rams, Panthers, Cowboys, Eagles, and Lions.
Yes, and a bonus team.
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals, number 11.
And you know what's sad? The bottom of this list is just right now
there is
ugly.
Quite literally
it's
no other
trash.
choice. There is no other choice for number 11.
All right, so those are the NFC Power Rankings from Danny Cunningham. We interrupt this, though, to go to the phone lines because we do have a caller. Dave in South Carolina. Dave, go ahead.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
What up, Dave?
Hey, guys. I called yesterday. It's a good show. I enjoy it. I wanted to call and talk about a couple of points.
Sure.
You
Thanks,
all
Dave.
Talked about. First of all, I still think that Zimmer's defense is going to have to cover up for these other issues and needs to focus on that and get his nose out of that room, which, and Judd, you talked about in the offseason, so I agree with you on that, especially right now, and figure out a way to, make some adjustments there, more pressure, maybe make some substitution changes, move some guys in and out. But as far as Cousins goes, I think what he was talking about, I listened to the press conference too, and I don't know what y'all picked up on, but he started talking about his body positioning in his throws, especially to the sideline, about not opening up hips and, not tipping off where he was throwing, leading into the ball to the throw. And I think that may have been a little bit about what Zimmer was talking about. And then a couple of the things I think are even more important here. A question was asked at the very end by one of the reporters who said, hey, you're getting ready to start off on this final drive, Kirk. Game, within reach. It was even more of a confident statement question if you picked up on. I don't remember how it was worded because of course I didn't hear the question completely. But his answer back was, well, you go back and listen. He said, well, I don't feel like the game is won there. I don't feel like it's within grasp. Something like that. It's very subtle. My point is, a quarterback that wants to go in, is confident, that's going to make this thing work, is going to say, you know what? Sure, we felt that way. We're ready to go. That's my mentality. That's not his mentality. If you look at the game, there is a linebacker that's shooting in on the slide. Every other game he's done this that last couple of years. He's went the extra mile. He's made decisions to get the extra yards. So I think he's giving you a lame excuse. I don't buy it. I think that he was tentative. I think that he was not confident.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those are the points in the game when you get questions like that from the media and you answer them. And then in Zimmer, here's my last point. Yesterday at his press conference, he even says in that last series of drives, I mentioned it to you guys yesterday, from watching football and knowing this offense the way I try to, to keep up on things, he had a chance to audibilize out of that second down play, the screenplay. And Zimmer mentions, there was an audible in there, a little subtle little poke at Zimmer, poking at him. But I just wanted to mention those things, Steve. It's something that I thought was important that I picked up on from the back and forth. And I do think y'all are right. Until he has confidence from his players that he's going to go ahead and make this thing happen. We've all said till we're blue in the face. Until it happens, you hear my frustration, right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And the same guy called earlier about the feeling up there. I know you guys feel that way as Vikings fans because I feel it. And then you couple that with not only the tradition of the franchise, but the issue with him, and it's just monumental. And I don't know if we can overcome it. But the best part about this, guys, as I mentioned yesterday, is that if it doesn't get overcome in these next 7 weeks, then some people are going to have to answer for, quite a few things. And I think that that's where we're headed, hopefully. Well, let's hope so anyway.
Thanks, Dave. Great call.
Yep.
Agree completely. And look, if they don't make the playoffs, then Dave's right. That's what I'm saying is the roller coaster of 2019 to me is so intriguing because it's constant.
Yeah.
I still can't tell you who this team is. I think I can tell you that Cousins is a quarterback who lacks awareness, and I think Dave's right. And this is not breaking news. I think he's a guy who his confidence can wane very quickly. And he doesn't necessarily have the confidence in himself against good teams to be like, okay, it's breaking down. I think if it doesn't break down, he's great.
Yeah.
I think he can dagger teams. But I think if it starts to sort of collapse around him, and that can be the pocket, that can be the situation, that can be Stephon Diggs not being open enough for his liking, I think he starts to think about things. And I think when he thinks, he gets himself in a lot of trouble. I think Dave's points are all valid.
When everything is going well, he is near an elite level quarterback. When everything is going perfect, Kirk Cousins is almost an elite level quarterback. When everything is not going well, he is almost Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, yes, that's probably true.
That's what it is.
That's probably true.
He needs to be in the perfect scenarios to be successful.
But here's the problem though, and this is why I refer to him as the puppet string quarterback. He's incapable of putting himself in those situations.
Yes.
He needs to be schemed into them by his coaching staff.
Yes, it's entirely dependent on other people creating those situations.
Correct.
He can perform in the situation when it's created. He's not the one that's going to create that situation. I agree completely. That is exactly what it is for Kirk.
Because when you lack the awareness that he does, it's impossible for you to have the ability to create. Again, it's 3rd and 6.
Yeah.
All you have to do, and you've got plenty of room to do it, you do not have to dive head first. All you have to do is slide at 7 or 8 yards, right? Or heck, 6 yards if you're aware. But he doesn't have the awareness to put himself in position to succeed. He needs somebody else to do it for him. He does have a certain amount of God-given athletic ability that's very impressive. But as far as and he's a smart guy, but it's almost as if for his job at times he's too smart because I think he's a smart day-to-day person.
Yeah.
But we've all seen, Danny, athletes who can be incredibly dense human beings that are incredibly smart athletes, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think he lacks.
Some of the dumbest people can have the highest football, baseball, basketball IQ.
Which sounds stupid.
But it's entirely true. I played with guys growing up or in college that weren't necessarily the brightest kids.
Yep.
But they understood football.
They couldn't pass a class, but they knew the whole playbook.
And conversely, I played with guys that got 3.7 or 3.8 or 4.0 GPAs, but they didn't have it all there for football. Like there's not necessarily a correlation between how smart you are with how savvy you are in terms of the game.
Christian Ponder, right?
Yeah.
Christian Ponder was at a high GPA at Florida State, viewed as being very book smart, but when it came to quarterbacking and leading a huddle and running plays and executing, you just couldn't do it.
Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard and thinks it's a good idea to play for the Dolphins.
You know what? I'm curious. What was Mitch Trubisky's GPA?
I can do some digging for high school.
'Cause
I
he-
know kids that went to high school with him.
He might have been a smart kid. Or
I
he might be a
don't
smart guy.
doubt that.
He might be a very smart guy. All right, Maestro, recue the music. Manny Hill, it's your turn. NFC Power Rankings.
All right, let's get to my power rankings. I've got the San Francisco 49ers moving up a spot, flip-flopping with the New Orleans Saints at 1 and 2.
Yep.
The more and more we get through this season and the further the 49ers continue to stay undefeated, it's hard for me to keep them out of that number 1 spot now. So I just almost by default kind of put them above the Saints at this point.
Mhm.
But the Saints, I mean, I think those two teams are pretty much neck and neck. So I've got them, they're more like 1A and 1B at this point.
Sure.
I still got Green Bay number 3, but did they lay an egg on Sunday. That was really, really bad in Carson, California on Sunday. But I'll hold them at number 3 for now. I got Seattle up to number 4. Their quarterback, I mean, Russell Wilson is just unbelievable. He's practically doing it by himself.
It's so fun to watch. 5 touchdowns.
It's amazing
Against Tampa Bay on Sunday.
Yeah, he's just incredible. I've got the Rams actually leapfrogging the Vikings at number 5.
Ooh, okay.
I think the Jalen Ramsey addition has really helped them. I think it's added a little bit more confidence in that defense. And this is a team that was just in the Super Bowl last year, so I think that they've got a little bit of their moxie that they had last year. I think they've got a little bit of that back now.
Mhm.
Then I've got the Vikings at number 6. Until they go on the road and beat a good team, after Sunday, I'm just not going to buy that they're going to be able to do it until they actually do it at this point. So
Entirely fair.
So I got the Vikings at 6. I got Dallas at 7. Again, the most mind-boggling team in the league because they're so talented, but they play down to their competition sometimes. Even last night, they were down 13-3
Before the Black Cat.
Yeah, before the Black Cat came out. I got Carolina number 8, Philadelphia number 9. I've got the Detroit Lions at number 10.
All right. So you go 49ers, Saints, Packers, Seahawks, and Rams as your top 5. Vikings, Cowboys, Panthers, Eagles, and Lions.
Yep.
All right.
Mitch Trubisky got a 3.6 GPA in high school at Mentor High School in Ohio.
Nice digging. Good reporting right there. So he is a smart guy, just a dumb athlete.
Yeah.
He just panics.
I don't even know that he's a dumb athlete. He just can't throw.
Yeah, that might be true. Although, you know what? Some of the stuff he does seems pretty dumb
that's
right
true,
now.
too.
All right. Danny's gone. Manny's gone. Here are my NFC rankings for this Tuesday now with the Vikings sitting at, 6-3 on the season. My number 1 team for the second consecutive week, the Niners. I'm buying. Garoppolo looked great on Thursday against the Cardinals. This defense has looked fantastic. I'm buying what San Francisco is selling. Number 2, obviously, coming off a bye at 7-1 and remaining second for me is the Saints as well. Here's where I think I differ from both of you guys. In fact, I do. I am moving the Seahawks up. The MVP's been incredible. This Russell Wilson story to me is one of the great stories. They sit at 7-2. They beat the Buccaneers 40-34 in overtime on Sunday. So their defense is not good. But Russell Wilson threw 5 touchdown passes. Whew. Number 4, dropping from 3rd, the Packers 7-2. But you go into the Chargers and lose, which causes me to think 2 things. One is, were you just terrible? Or are the Chargers actually coming up a tick? In which case, the Vikings game in Los Angeles now, which I think is a primetime game, might not be as easy as we assumed.
Doesn't it feel like the Chargers do this every year?
Where Colin brought that up yesterday.
They dig themselves a hole.
Yes.
And then they play well enough in the second half of the
Yes.
season every year to make you believe that they can get it done.
Yes.
But because the hole that they dug is too much, the road is too difficult.
But then everybody's safe because they're like, but going into next year, the Chargers are going to be great.
I mean, it is rinse, wash, repeat.
I think a couple of weeks ago when we laid out the Vikings schedule or we predicted like the second half of the season, I think I marked down the Chargers game as a loss just because this is what the Chargers do. They get off to a bad start and then they end up like 9-7 and you're like, how the hell did that happen? They were 1-5. It's really weird.
I am leaving the Vikings at 6-3 at 5. Obviously, that could come very much undone on Sunday night in Dallas, but for now at 6-3, I am dropping them down only 1 spot after they lost to the Chiefs. The Rams are my number 6 team. They're coming off a bye week. I think Manny's right. I think the Jalen Ramsey addition, I think they're well coached. I would not be surprised at all if in a week or so they are in my top 5.
Yeah.
Number 7, the Carolina Panthers. They beat the Titans. I don't know what to make of them. They got absolutely their drawers blown off in San Francisco, which is a good team. But that was embarrassing. And then they come back and beat the Titans.
Let me ask you this.
I don't think much of.
You think Cam Newton ever plays for them again?
No. No, I don't. Because his contract's up, right?
I'm not sure of his contract situation.
But no, I don't. I think he's going to have surgery. I think they're going to have. He's a huge man whose body has taken a huge beating, a massive beating. I mean, do I think he plays again? Yes. Do I think it's there? No.
And they had him out there in preseason. He shouldn't have been playing in the preseason, and he hurt his foot.
And even if he didn't do that, ridiculous. I just don't know that the toll. I mean, the man is absolutely. Think about all the rushing attempts. Think about all the hits he's taken behind bad offensive lines. Think about all those things.
Adds up.
It's not surprising. So I've got the Panthers at number 7, holding steady at 7th. I've got Dallas remaining 8th after they beat the Giants, which, okay, you beat the Giants. Good for you. The 3 of us could have got together and beat the Giants.
I would need a little more help.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I'd need a little more help.
You'd be the star of our team.
Well, I know that.
Okay, well, then we just rely on you and you beat them.
Well,
Pat Shermer couldn't outspeed
My
you.
question is Josh Freeman quarterbacking my team? If he is, then I'm probably still not going to beat the Giants.
Oh, Danny Cunningham, as I just said, the 3 of us. It's only 3 of us. And we're playing both ways. No, Declan, sorry. I don't want to get you hurt. Number 9.
Yeah, you'd break in half.
Number 9, coming off a victory over the Bears, I am putting the 5-4 Philadelphia Eagles. I'm moving them up 1 spot. And then I've got a rule. If you're not good enough to be above 500, you ain't good enough for my NFC Power Rankings. So I'm ending it there. There's no 10 team for me. Detroit get lost.
Lost to Oakland.
You lost to Oakland. And I don't care what anybody tells me. I saw that Oakland team play. Oakland's awful. They cashed that game in. So don't give me any Oakland love. But the most important thing to me now is a week ago, I think I told you guys that I drew a hard line after the Vikings at number 4 before Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
That line is now drawn after the Saints.
Yeah.
Everybody else is in a different conversation, and you're all sort of muddled together.
That's
my feeling about this conference has changed mightily in the past week, and with the stunts that the Packers and Vikings pulled, I'm out right now.
A Niners Saints NFC Championship game would be a lot of fun. Drew Brees going up against that defense.
And Garoppolo. Garoppolo, I think, is pretty good. I'm not sure what you guys think about him. I know there's a lot of people that are sort of,
I'm not sold yet.
I'm not completely sold, but I think he's pretty good.
I'm lukewarm on him. I think he's got a chance. I still think there's room for growth there, and he can be pretty good.
Yeah, I think that between his ability as a quarterback and Shanahan's a brilliant play caller, those combinations work.
He's got one of the quickest releases I've ever seen in my life on a quarterback too.
Yeah,
That ball comes out really, really
which
fast.
is huge.